you obviously you know the fans, Providence fans, and everything that they feel, is probably legitimate. You don't want to lose your coach, especially when you're doing well, and you definitely don't want to lose them in their conference. But I know Ed personally, and the job he's done at Providence has been phenomenal. And for what Georgetown needs, one, just a good coach in terms of just X's and O's and development and all the things that come along with coaching, but also a person that like Big John was a personality in a brand and building the brand. And Ed's, that's kind of what he is. Like he's a great marketer. He's a really good recruiter. And, some of the guys that maybe you couldn't get at Providence, you can get at Georgetown, Jeff Greens and Greg Monroe's and, those guys, like they'll come to Georgetown. And so, in terms of the job itself and the potential of the job for certain, when Ed says, hey, anything's possible, well, we know it's possible. You can win a national championship there. Not that you couldn't do it anywhere else. Yeah, there's a lot of teams, Loyola Chicago's in the Final Four. Like you got a shot, but you could have a consistent chance, annually at Georgetown to be in that conversation for sure.
Kevin, how can Ed, and I guess how quickly can Ed make Georgetown matter again?
I mean, I think he's done a really good job at Providence in the portal. I mean, you look at this year, they had to rebuild it a little bit and got Devin Carter and got Bryce Hopkins, and we're right back in the thick of things in the Big East. And obviously, I think culturally there's a lot more to fix at Georgetown, and there's a lot more stuff in terms of rebuilding the program outside of just rebuilding the roster that he has to do to really get it to true relevance. But I think without a doubt, like they can compete right away. Like they're not resigned to last place for the next 2 years like you would have been 10 years ago when you couldn't flip a roster as quickly. I thought that Cooley's comments today, and I know a lot was made of he said the divine providence thing, we can win championships, whatever. Like,
right,
to me, like the comment that I noticed the most was he said he wanted to get 80% of the students to a game at some point, right? And that may not be realistic. And it's Georgetown, right? It's in a city. There's lots to do. There's lots of, it's a high academic place. People care about other stuff. Like I went, it's not Northwestern. Like I'm a Northwestern guy. And there was just 50% of the kids that were never going to care. Right. Like Georgetown's not quite that, but it's something.
We would show up at Northwestern, Kevin. And I don't know if this was on purpose, like to just mess with our guys when I was at Iowa and I was at Michigan. They'd be in the student section, like we'd be warming up, they're reading books.
Yes.
And I'm like, is that just to throw everybody off, or are they really studying?
It's not as a joke. Like I always thought it was, and I met the people who did it. And I was like, it's not a joke. This is just how they are. It's crazy. Like, and Georgetown's not that, but Georgetown's also not like Georgetown is not Duke, right? There's certain percentage of the student body that's just never going to care about basketball. But I think you saw how dry it got in that building the last few years, right? It's an NBA gym. It's big. It's not on campus. And I think one of the biggest reasons why Ed Cooley is such an amazing hire for Georgetown is he will do everything he can to get students back in that building, to get people back in that building.
Today's episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can get a little extra sweat during March Madness and win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's games. In Pick'em, all you do is predict whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether that's points, rebounds, whatever. For example, if you're like me and you think Zach Edey is going to go nuts in this tournament, pick higher on his points projection, add up to 4 more picks, and if you hit them all, you can win 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured it out. So go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, FIELD, and Underdog will match your deposit up to $100. Now is the time to get in on the madness. So remember, UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code FIELD.
And go engage that community.
Here, Ed is as engaging, like he will be in the cafeteria. He will be, he'll be all over campus. He was unbelievable at Providence. And when you look at what used to be the dunk, and the what he built there in terms of just atmosphere alone. They got a DJ in the building, the students who had to singing Taylor Swift in the second half, and like all of that is Ed. So Ed and Lee Reed are going to get together. Lee's awesome. I know Lee personally as well, and there's going to be a list of here's what we need. Like Providence's practice facility and the whole deal. There's a barber shop in the practice facility at Providence now for guys to get there. Like that wasn't there. And that's all Ed Cooley. They got 7 different uniforms. They got a pink. They got all the stuff that the kids like. So they're just going to sit down and just hash through the list, and it's going to be there. And it's going to be there with all the support, the endowment and the alumni. And so it's coming. It's coming.
Well, and I think to that point, because you've seen the back and forth, right? I think because of all the things that Ed did at Providence, add to it, he's a Providence guy, but I think that's why there are so many hurt feelings, because of all the progress that was made there. And when I think about these type of moves, because you see fewer and fewer of them, head coaches leaving for other head coaching jobs at similar levels, right? You see less and less of that these days. But my operating theory is a fan base copes with that by telling themselves, oh, he lied. Oh, he was calling recruits while he was still here. It's never that the coach left. It's how he left. And that's how they rationalize it, right? I was here in Memphis when John Calipari left for Kentucky. And I remember what everybody was saying. He was in the house. He was calling John Wall. He was calling Boogie Cousins. They never can rationalize it with the truth, which is he had topped out at Providence. He had done what you're going to do at Providence. He's leaving it in a better place, and he's taking a more prestigious job where he's going to have more opportunities. But fans have a hard time accepting that. And I think that's why you're seeing, right, the back and forth like we saw today between Jeff Goodman and some others.
I mean, I just think at the end of the day, right, like I'm sure it was hard for him to leave. And I think it's one of the reasons it's hard for him to leave is because of what they accomplished there. Right. Like,
when you build it your way.
Yeah.
Like when you get to do it your way, that makes it difficult. You're right.
And had a lot of success, right? When he got the job, the dream was to get Providence to the place where they could win a Big East championship, go to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. They accomplished that. And I think, Coach, you could probably speak to this better than either of us could. Like, there's got to be a certain level mentally where, like, you've climbed what you thought was the realistic mountaintop, and trying to go to work every day and do that again is really hard. And when you have the opportunity in front of you to go to Georgetown, I'm sure it was hard. And again, it's not to say he couldn't have stayed at Providence for the rest of his life and had the best career ever and enjoyed it and been the man. And we don't need to tell Ed Cooley whether he should have taken or shouldn't have taken the job. Right.
Yeah.
But I just think at the end of the day, like, there has to be something to be said of, like, sometimes you just need to start something new. And Georgetown is kind of a blank canvas.
And people don't get, sometimes being home might not be everything is cracked up to be either. Just from a personal standpoint. And so, there's a lot of factors. It was a hard decision. I know, like I said, again, I know Ed. It was not an easy decision for him. I know the fans and how, how it went down and that's what they go to. But it's like everybody's recruiting in the portal, whether you're still playing, whether you're not playing, you have to be, or you're behind. Yeah. And kids commit to coaches more, I would say, more so than they commit to schools. So all of those things were happening. But that's normal. It's just the nature of the business. I think it's a great fit. I think Ed's going to do a phenomenal job. I think Providence will be fine. Kim English is a fantastic coach. I know him. He's a good young coach. They just got to get behind Kim. Like they'll be fine because he does a heck of a job, and it makes for great Big East. It makes for a great Big East moving forward in terms of just Patino at St. John's and Ed now, and it's good when you have a little. But you look up and down, UConn, Marquette, Creighton.
Crazy.
And you're going to jump in like Georgetown to St. John's. It won't take too long. And, it's like Villanova. I'm telling you, like, that's not going anywhere. Kyle will get it back where it needs to be. And, man, you're going to be 7-8 teams deep annually. in terms of tournament tournament teams.